What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. I'm playing again. I'm playing. Right, this video there's no work going on the bike, but I want to give you an insight into the YouTube thing and like answer some of the questions that's coming up, because people haven't, I'm not saying they haven't got a clue, but there's stuff that's going on that you don't even know about. So this, I tend to, like one morning a week, I tend to come in and just have a go at something to see if it's doable. And this is what I've chosen today. So, this, where are you? There you go. This is one of the pistons out of the rear caliper. It's stainless. It's going to clean up a treat actually, I think. And it'll probably be reusable and whatnot, but you know, it's just, that's what that is. However, I started making my own. So I've got a lathe. He sits over there. And he's just had a bit of a clean up. But if I've got a lathe, there's no reason I can't turn this. So I've got the dimple in the back of it already, although that does need to be smoothed out. And then I need a round bit to go in here, thin the wall out a bit, skim the bottom and take that dimple out. But we should end up with something that looks very, very similar to that one. And if I can make stuff like this, I'm going to make it. Why wouldn't you? It's, you know, it's not that difficult. You just have to have a go, basically. The OD of that one is 0.01 smaller than that one. And I'm probably not going to do that in a cut. So I just want to see how good I can get it and if it's going to work. Because, you know, it's another option and it's good practice. But there's been a load of people recently chucking me messages and stuff, and you totally got the wrong end of the stick, totally. So in this video, I want to give you an insight as to how this channel works. I don't know so much about others, but I would imagine they work in a similar way. Because there's quite a few people that have been watching this and gone, oh yeah, I'm going to start a channel. Would you follow it? And I think, oh, okay, it depends if it's any good really, doesn't it? But there's loads of people that's interested, but they don't know how it works. So that's kind of what this is going to be. And the other thing is how you sort of fund the channel. And because this workshop has grown quite a lot since, if you go back and look at the early ones, there really wasn't that much in it. But over time, you know, I've collected or made or found or got given or whatever, quite a lot of stuff. And it's filling up quite nicely. So, where do we start first? Well, let me show you where, no, okay, let's just talk about the money side of stuff then. So, if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel and you think you're going to get rich doing it, you in. You just in. It don't work that way. Not unless you've got a massive channel. But yeah, I've got 10,312 subs, I think it is now. Something like that. I do between 2 and 3 videos a week. One of them is an update. A couple of them probably doing some work, you know, on the bike and whatnot. And out of that, I'll probably end up getting, I don't know, 150 quid a month, something like that. And the way it works is that people that view your content and stuff, you get enough people viewing it, and for so many, you know, for like 1,000 views, you get X amount of money for, you know, however it is. And there's an algorithm as well. So if people are watching you in the States, then you'll earn more than if everybody's watching in Yemen or the Ukraine or something like that. It's dependent on like their own country's economy. But you basically get bugger all out of it. So what I tend to do is just squirrel all that away. You know, it sits in a bank account until, you know, I can afford to get something, and we're going to show you a couple of bits that has turned up, which is quite cool. The other way is that, I think you can only monetize your channel when you get to about 1,000 subs or something. You know, get to that point, I think, oh, okay, he's quite serious and people are cottoning on. Best we, you know, give him an incentive to carry on. So that's kind of how it happens. The other thing is the Patreon side of stuff. So a lot of channels, this one included, is part of Patreon. And they are just legends, absolute legends. But these are people that have been watching the channel, like the content and want to help you. So on a monthly basis, they donate money to the channel, basically, just to help you keep going. Now, I don't know how other people work it. I haven't got a clue. But literally every penny that I get out of YouTube just goes straight back into the shop. You hear an awful lot of comments about, you know, donate to us and become a patron, because that's the only reason videos are getting made, and you'll directly support future videos and all that sort of stuff. Well, I don't know how much of that is true. I would imagine quite a lot of people are just sticking it in their pocket, but we're not. We're getting stuff. Let me show you something. Ooh. Ow. That's going to leave a mark. Ooh. Alright, that's one of them. Hang on. And that's the other one. They're heavy, if you can't tell. Right, so this is sort of where anything that I get goes. It just goes back into tooling. So essentially, I can make more stuff, or get a bit more creative, or make stuff better at, and that sort of thing. That's where all this stuff is going. Just because, you know, I want to be able to do more. I want to be able to, you know, make better content and better stuff and learn something along the way. So, you know, literally everything I get goes into this sort of thing. Let me show you. So this came out of the Patreon fund. Basically, I'll squirrel, you know, I'll just leave it in there until there's enough in there to get something that I really, really, really want. That's part of it. That is a very big clamp. All this is cast, actually. It's made by Metz. And basically, it is a bead roller. It's not a big one, but it weighs a ton. Got a handle, which is awesome. And this is the business bit, which is actually really heavy. There we go. Right, so that's a bead roller. So the handle goes on this end. Come on. Do I get it out? I suppose I could do, couldn't I? Well. No, I'm not getting it out because it's all oily. But essentially that goes on its stand. Handle goes on this end, and then you swap out these ends. So these bits, you've got different dies that you can put on, which we've got a whole load of them in here. You get like match dies and stuff. So this one, for example, I'll just get this out. There we go. All right. So this one, you could use it for putting like a, I don't know if you can see, but there's a shape to this one and a shape to this one. You bring the two together, and whatever you've got in the middle is going to deform to that shape, right? So that one would be just for, you know, putting a bump in something, basically. So like if you've got a piece of tube and you want to roll the edge, so, you know, your clip has got something to, you know, hold against, that sort of stuff. That's the sort of thing that you could use it for. I've got some flat ones in here, I've got swaging ones, I've got round over ones, I've got, you know, a few different dies. So like the flat ones, you can use it to put a jog into sheet metal. So where the sheet is flat, you can then put a step into it. So when you put another sheet in, it's all flat, and, you know, you can obviously weld it. I would have done that on the seat under tray and stuff, but I didn't have one of these then. But you can also use all this lot for putting strength into a flat piece of sheet metal. Flat sheet metal, you can wobble it and twist it, and it's all quite, you know, it's not great. However, if you put a shape into it, like run a bead in it, so it's got ump in the middle of it sort of thing, suddenly you get loads more strength to it. Like if you're making a tank or something like that, you can roll the edges as you're doing all your different sections, so you get like a nice finished shape to it and all that sort of thing. So that is going to be mint. It's not going to get used a massive amount, I don't think, but it is going to get used for quite a few ideas that I've got in the pipeline. So we might be using that on stuff like the, you know, the seat ump, the actual seat itself. If I was to make my own tank, which at some point I do want to have a go at, then that would definitely be getting used. So that's that one. I can't remember how much it was. It's a Metz one. Go Google it. 180 quid or something like that. Something like that. But you know, it's a significant amount of money, really. And if you've got to find it out your own pocket as well as doing everything else, that's not always an easy thing. So, you know, using the YouTube money to get stuff like this, you know, it makes a massive difference to the shop. Really, really does. Plus, you can do loads more. This, I've been after one of these just ever since I got the mill, basically. This is a dividing head, or an indexing head, as it's sometimes called. That's a picture of it. I'm probably not going to drag all this out. Where are you? There you go. But I've got a number of things in the pipeline which I'm going to need a dividing head for. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is like old school stuff, basically. So with the mill, you've got the tool at the top, which means you're limited in how you can fix your stuff and how you can machine it. Whereas this is basically a chuck, which is on a swivel table, so you can angle it at different angles, sort of thing like that. But then with your milling head on here, anything you've got in the chuck, you can machine features into it. So say you've got like a shaft and you want to put splines on it, you could do that. If you want to cross drill holes, actually I'll show you. Right, so these are probably the simplest indexing things you're ever going to get for a mill. Just collet blocks, basically. So I've got a square one and I've got a hexagonal one. And basically you shove a collet in this end so you can grab something round, and then this goes into a vise and you can index it, which basically means you can have it that way, cut a feature in top, turn it all the way over, cut another feature in there. Or you can index this one in 4 ways. This one you can obviously do, you've got 6 sides, so you can do opposite faces, you could do 3 holes, or you could do 6. That's the basics of indexing. However, anything more than that, you know, like if you wanted to do 5 or 7, or, you know, you ain't going to be able to do it with these. And that's where this sort of stuff comes in. You can cut gears with this. You can cut gears. And I do need to cut some gears for the lathe, so we are going to be having a go, because I want to be having a go at single point thread cutting. But this is it. I'll stick you up here so you can see. Right, so this is it. Are you going to come out? God, you're heavy, I know that much. Oh. Come on. Right. Oh, come on. Right, it's just going to have to sit like that for a minute. Right, so essentially we've got a chuck on here. It's got internal jaws, but I've also got a set of external jaws that go with it here. So we can grab hold of all sorts of stuff. See, there's a scale here, so this whole thing can tilt up and down. This bit screws down to the bed. And then here you've got loads of indexing plates. And I've got a full set here. Oh, come on. Out you come. So you get ones with different holes and whatnot. Like that. Okay? So it is really easy to make an error with these. You can really, really, really easily cock it up. But essentially, 40 rotations of the handle will turn the chuck 1 revolution. Alright? So 1 turn of that is a 40th of a revolution, and then all these different holes allows you to divide that 40th of a revolution into however many holes you've got here. So I'm going to have to practice my fractions again. I haven't had to do that in a long time. But essentially you can divide up 360 degrees into stupid little amounts. So if you're cutting gears, for example, you know, depending on how many teeth you've got, you know, you have to rotate this to a certain point and then take a cut for your next tooth, and then rotate it again and take another cut, and so on and so forth. But, you know, doing a little bit of math, you can do all sorts of stuff with this. You can do cross holes. You know, if you wanted 5 cross holes in different places, you could do that on this. You know, you can machine splines on it. You can do just all sorts of things. And there's a couple of projects I've got coming up where this is going to be needed. If you've got quite a long shaft sticking out of there, then that's where this bit comes in, if it comes out. So that's the centre. So again, this bolts down to the table. You can wind this up and down, and the pointy bit goes in a hole that you would drill on the end of your shaft, just so you can keep everything level. That way everything's supported when you're machining it. But this is, it is an old school way of doing it. I've been plaguing the fellas in the tool room, teach me how to do this. And they just don't use these anymore. It's all CNC. They just put a program in, push a button, and this thing gets made. Whereas I quite like the idea of learning how to do everything manually. Certainly to start off with anyway. Once you move into CNC, you know, basically you tell it where you want it to go, and you haven't got to turn the handle. The machine just does it for you. But, you know, this is mega. This really, really is cool. It wasn't massively expensive, but I have had to save up for one. Just, you know, well, it's not going to be cheap, is it? But you get my gist. So this is kind of where literally everything that I make out of YouTube goes. None of it goes in my pocket. It just all goes into the workshop. So literally everything that you see in it, all the tooling that I'm using and everything else, I've just saved up for, and I've got it when I've needed to get it, sort of stuff. I tend not to buy a tool until I've got a reason to buy a tool, because otherwise you just sat there doing nothing. It's money wasted. But you know, you have the more popular a channel gets, then obviously the more views you get, so the more money you make, even though it's never going to be much. But it just gives you more options and stuff. Do you know what I mean? You hear people, but I've got like a little banner thing that comes up with the like, subscribe, and the bell bit and all that stuff. And that's as much as I go on about it. But apparently you know, obviously if you like something, apparently that matters. So if it gets a thumbs up, then that counts in this weird algorithm thing that they've got going on. If it gets shared, then obviously it's just people telling other people about your channel. So if they like it, then they'll start watching as well. That just makes sense. The subscription thing doesn't cost anything. And I've had loads of people saying this, but the subscription bit is basically, you've got a list of channels that you've subscribed to. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to them. It just means that when they post another video, you get a notification that there's another video there to watch for a channel that you're currently following, if that makes sense. So it don't cost you anything. And like the YouTube Studio thing, which is like what would you call it? I don't know. It's like a dashboard that creators get that shows all their videos and comments and this, that and the other. There's a whole big analytics bit in that, which I can't be doing with it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. You just don't. I mean, if I've got like 10,300 subs, for example, ish, bar 12, then you would, in my head, you'd think, well, okay, you've got 10,300 people that have liked your channel, that want to follow it and watch what you're doing. However, for the videos that I'm doing, I maybe get 2,500 views per video. Well, what's the rest of them doing? Now, I don't know if that's just on your phone or on a computer. A lot of people have got like smart TVs. We have. If I'm watching YouTube at home, I tend to stick it on the telly. I'm not sure if those ones count to it. I don't know. I really don't know. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, if you're going to set a channel up, then, you know, I mean, you can get into analytics and all sorts of stuff if you really want to. But it don't really help. But that's the basics of it, really. This is the way that I choose to run the channel. Some people are doing a channel and anything they make just goes in their pocket. Because it costs money to, you know, buy all the tooling and, you know, even just getting the materials to make the stuff yourself. It still costs money. So literally anything I get from YouTube goes straight back into the channel, and it's used to buy stuff like that. It's not used to buy, you know, bits and doodads like, oh, I need another set of carbs, I'll just have it out of that. Oh, you can do it. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. Some channels are heavily subsidised as well with suppliers and that. I don't really want to get into that, because that sounds to me a little bit like selling your soul. but like product placements and all this stuff. I can't tell you how that works because I don't do it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Certainly not Sealy. But, you know, there are these companies out there that will go, well, I've got this thing, could you review it and do a video on it? Well, you see, the trouble is, unless you go, well, I want to do an honest one, so if I don't like it, I'm going to tell people I don't like it. And at that point, they probably go, that's all right, don't worry, we'll send it to somebody else. Or like if you're sponsored by a tool company or something like this, suddenly you're obligated to, one, blast their logos all over your videos, use all their stuff, even if it isn't that good. Basically say it is dead good and try and get other people to buy it. Well, that's just, you know, you've just sold your soul, haven't you? Because it's like, you are now their marketing monkey and all you're getting given is some rubbishy tools. Oh, you get quite a lot of them, but they're still junk. There's a few people going on about the editing as well. You can make that as complicated and as horrible as you want to. Some people have got a really good way of doing it and it just works for them, but it wouldn't work for me. And that is basically just sitting down, yapping. You know, they've got the gift of the gab, they can get away with it. Well, I can't really. But yeah, that is brilliant because you just take the whole video, stick a title on it, and you just, you know, publish it. That's it, job done. With the stuff that I'm doing, there is quite a lot of editing going on. So probably 2 mornings in here, well, not this video, but normally if I'm working on something, there's probably 2 mornings in here. So, you know, maybe working for, I don't know, 4 hours, something like that. You get probably half hour's worth of footage-ish, something like that. And it's all these different little clips and everything else. And then you get to the end of it, when you've finished it, you've got to put all that lot together. Now, there is a video editor in YouTube, I think. I've never used it. Don't really want to. Sounds a bit, you know, oh, hello. Sounds a bit clunky from what I've heard. So I tend to use, well, I do use, the Adobe Premiere Pro software. I've got the whole suite because I do other stuff as well. And it's got Paint Shop and blah, blah, blah in there. Sorry, Photoshop. But I know it, I've used it commercially before, so I know my way around it and it's just easy for me, basically. So if you've got, you know, all these different little clips of videos and stuff, you've got to stitch them all together and make it look half presentable and then do your titles and whatever else you're going to be doing. I suppose per video, it probably takes me between 4 and 5 hours of video editing. So, yeah, quite. So what normally happens is I leave here at 12:30, go home and stick it all on the laptop. And whilst it's uploading, which can take quite a while, you know, that's when I have my scoff. And then I'll start piecing it together before I go to my work. And when I come back from my work, well, I'll probably get home like 11:30, 11:45 in the evening, something like that. Then I'll probably spend like an hour or two just, you know, doing a little bit more editing. It does take an awful lot of time. An awful lot of time. What you see in the videos looks dead simple, looks dead noddy. Oh, he made that thing in like, you know, 2 minutes flat, however long that song was. Well, that 2 hours realistically could be, you know, sorry, those 2 minutes that he's made this thing in, it could be 2 hours. It just depends what you're doing. And if you've got figuring stuff out and trying to come up with a plan and everything else, that all eats into your time as well. But then you're conscious, well, I've just sat here looking at it for ages. I haven't actually done anything. I haven't videoed anything, so no one's going to get to see anything. Well, that was time well spent then, wasn't it? It's a real thing. And once you start putting videos out there as well, you sort of get, like if you make a promise, all right, you're getting 3 videos a week. Oh, you're going to hate saying that. Because as soon as you don't, people will get on your case. Like properly get on your case. I mean, they tend to do it quite nicely. Where's the videos then? Are you all right? But you know, you could put an awful lot of pressure on yourself just because you now feel obligated to produce content on a regular basis. There's loads of, I did go grubbing and I found loads of channels that are just dedicated on how you can grow your YouTube channel. which seems a bit daft really. And they're all saying the same sort of stuff, but I don't want to do half of it. So they're on about things like, go through and use all your analytics. Well, to me, the analytics don't really make that much sense. So we're not doing that one. And then they're going on about select a date and time. So like every, I don't know, Tuesday and Friday, for example, at a certain time, launch a video. Because that way people will know it's coming and they'll be sat there ready and waiting to hit the play button when it drops. You know, I suppose it works, but like if you've got regular content coming out anyway and people have subscribed and they've done that little bell thing, they're going to get told when it's out there, and they're the people that is interested in watching your channel. So I don't really hold with that. All this, make sure you take a high resolution photo. The thumbnail's this big. What's the point in having a high resolution one? Yeah, it don't make much sense to me, some of that stuff. Some of it I do agree with. Most of it I don't. And I can't be bothered to follow all the guidelines and stuff that they put, because it's not the way that I would do it. So I'm just doing my own thing, and if it grows, it grows. You know, I can't change what it is I'm doing. You know, it's building a bike. It's not like I'm suddenly going to do something different, is it? There's been quite a few people as well going, can you show us how to do the transitions and how to edit stuff and all that sort of thing, and do I need spanky lighting and blah, 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 you know, the production side of stuff. No, basically, no. The way I learned how to do Premiere Pro and like all the Photoshop and all that sort of stuff is just by YouTubing things. That's how I learned. That's how I learned how to do an awful lot of the machining, actually. You just find a channel that explains it how you like it, that you get it, you can understand it, and then you just try and mimic what you're seeing, basically. So I might do a thing at some point just with how I do certain bits. People going on about those flaming Batman transition with the eyes and stuff. I could show you how to do that, I suppose, but you know, just honestly, search YouTube. It's all out there. That's where I found it. It's not hard. And it also depends on the software package that you're using as well. As far as lighting and stuff goes, well, I don't really need that much. You might see it on some of the videos, but I've got, the roof in here has got some see-through panels in it. They're not clear. They're not clear. It's like opaque would be a good way of putting it. So I get loads of sunlight coming in, and sunlight tends to be the best thing. I've got some strip lamps up here. I've got one at that end and one at that end. That's it. And it don't turn out too bad. You can tell when it starts getting dark and late at night and stuff, because things do dark down. There's an awful lot of light that comes through the skylights. And really, that's the best thing. But again, it's just a trial and error type thing. Try it, see what the footage comes out like, and if you're not happy, change something, is my advice. Everything that I film is filmed on my phone. Well, actually, I've got my old phone in here. I've got a new phone. Where is he? So this is a Google Pixel 7 or something. He's quite good. And what you're on at the minute is a Samsung Galaxy S21. Most mobile phones these days, or an awful lot of them, will shoot in 4K. So that's what I shoot everything in, and that's what I'm editing in, and that's as good as it's ever going to get, until I get a different phone that can do a bit more. But everything's done on the phone, that's all you need. The only trouble with doing stuff on your phone is if you're using the microphone off of it, then you walk away from your phone doing whatever it is that you're doing, the sound really, really drops off. So that's where this bit comes in. This came from Martin, which is mega, and it made a world of difference. But it's a Rode Wireless Go, I think it is. It's something like that anyway. But basically, you just plug it into the bottom of your phone, and it's like a wireless microphone, basically. And it just means that wherever I go, however far away from the camera I am, the sound is always there. So you don't really lose that much, which is cool. But the sound bit, that was probably the biggest improvement. The rest of it has just been a case of, you know, trying to polish up a turd as best you can, really. But loads of people are getting dead picky about the sound. So if you're going to do it, I would suggest doing something like that. Google is really good in a lot of ways, actually. They do like all these little tips and tricks, or like you know, promoting a channel, or, you know, basically trying to help you make more content. They are quite verbal, and you do get regular emails off them and all that sort of stuff. They do change their terms and conditions quite a bit, or it's not terms and conditions, but it's like their, you know, acceptable use and all that, all their policies basically. And they've recently done a change to it as well, and they keep banging on about these bloody shorts things. So shorts is, I don't even know what the time limit is, but they're videoed that way, not that way. So in portrait, not landscape. And they're time limited, so it can't be longer than X amount. And they come up under a separate tab on your, you know, your YouTube channel and all this sort of stuff. And I think originally they was done for like memes. So, you know, little funny clips, or, you know, that sort of stuff. But they're really banging on about it now. And it's all included in the new thing that you've got to accept if you want to carry on YouTube. So I've accepted it. And I'm now starting thinking, well, okay, what can I do on shorts? I don't really want to do them. However, I've had a bit of a brain fart. So, with the arrival of bits and pieces like that, and the fact that I've got a mill and a lathe, and I do like my machining now, and there's all sorts of stuff that you could do. It's brilliant. About a year ago, I had a stupid idea for a thing that I could make. It is bike related. It would go on a bike, and when I make it, it will end up on a bike. And I think I know the bike it'll end up on as well. But you can't just go out and buy one. Not that I know of anyway. So the whole assembly is going to need to be made. So the gears for it, the mounting plates, the shafts, the, you know, all that sort of stuff, I've got to make the whole lot from scratch. At the minute, I am still CADing it up, so this isn't going to be a short-term thing. I want him done and out the way first. But what I'm thinking of doing is, for this shorts thing, is just video the machining and making of all these different component pieces that is going to go together to make this assembly, right? And as I make a bit, I'll just assemble it. So you'll, over time, you will see the thing gradually get added to and all that sort of stuff. There ain't going to be any yap, there won't be any explanations, there might be a ditty playing in the background, but that's about it. It's just going to be the machining footage and showing you what the thing is that I've just made, right? And we just play a game. So, the first one to correctly guess what the thing is and what it's going to be used for, and, you know, basically what is it that I'm making, then, I don't know, they'll win a t-shirt or something like that. But that's the only thing I can think to put up on shorts, and I reckon it could be a bit of a giggle just to see what people think it is that I'm making at the end of the day. Bear in mind, it is a work in progress, so some of those bits may end up in the bin if I change the design of it, but I'm trying to get the whole design at the minute, and it's one of those little pet projects that just ticks away in the background, and I go back to it every now and then. But once I've finished the design up and everything else, then you'll start seeing these little shorts come up, and we'll just make a game of it basically. But there you go. That's the only thing I can think to do. But that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. Hopefully this answers a lot of the questions that keep coming through from people that are watching the channel that are interested in setting their own up. There's loads of channels out there to help you do it. There's quite a lot of tools that you can use. Some of them you've got to pay for, some of them is freebie. Just, you know, you'll find something that works for you. But if you are going to do it, the very best of luck to you. I have a right hoot in here doing all this. I love it. It is brilliant. Massive drain on your time. You know, to make no difference, it really does take all your spare time up, but it is a huge amount of fun. So if you are going to do it, best of luck to you, and I do hope it goes well. But there you go, that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. I do hope you're well and staying safe, and we will see you on the next one. Laters!